Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the CyberGizmo, I'm going to be revisiting Kodachi Linux, but this time version 7.1, right after this. So I originally set out to look at Kodachi 7.0, but it wasn't more than about, a few days later that Ware released Kodachi 7.1. So that's the one I'm going to be taking a look at today. So as always, their site is www.digi77.com. And there's a number of tools in here, and Kodachi is one of them. That Ware supplies, and this is an operating system that's based on Xubuntu, and it's 1804, of course. And it's really designed, as I had said in the previous video, to be a secure anti-forensic operating system. Anti-forensic means it leaves no traces from which someone who was trying to look at your activity would be able to pull up any logs or any information about your activities online, and both online and also offline. So there's some of the things that we need to be concerned about in order to maintain our privacy in this world that we're living in today. It's very simple to use this, and there's a couple of different ways that you can use this system. And the most recommended way is to use this from a USB stick. Similar to Tails, Tails runs the same way, is that you run from a USB stick. When you shut down, everything is erased as far as any files that you saved, any logs that you created during your session, so it completely obliterates it. However, you can install this in a persistent manner if you wish. You can create a persistent store on your USB stick if you want to do that. Now, it's not recommended that you do that, and it's not recommended that you can also install this to your hard drive if you wish as well and create a persistent store there. But of course, that's defeating some of the anti-forensic parts of the design of the system. So it's really designed to either run from a DVD or from a USB stick or an SD card. Yeah. It's designed to protect your identity. It's designed to protect your activity. So you cannot just easily be tracked across the network. Now, there is no foolproof way to absolutely protect your traffic, because, as you know, even if I use the VPN, I'm encrypting my session from the point of origin, or at least, where my session begins on the VPN, to the endpoint of the VPN, and then after that, it's back off onto the internet. And of course, at that point, you're really trusting your identity with your VPN provider. Tor protects your identity from the point of origin. It goes through at up to 3 Tor nodes, which have no knowledge of any previous, it has no knowledge other than where the connection originated from in the Tor network. However, there are ways to track and match up Tor traffic if you're monitoring both the entry nodes and the exit nodes from the Tor network, which would be pretty difficult to do, but it is possible. So there isn't one absolute way to be able to protect your identity, but it does offer one of the best ways that I know of in order to do this. Now, of course, Tails has the same issue, right? Because you're torifying their networks as well. So there's also cryptographic tools which are provided with this release, which allows you to further encrypt your files, at least the part of the email that is in the body. And of course, you can't protect the metadata of an email because it was never designed that way. And then also to encrypt, if you're doing instant messaging, it also allows you to do that as well. And so let's, I guess, kind of drive down through here a little bit. Now, I showed you this list the last time, but it has expanded somewhat. So they're comparing, Ware is comparing Kodachi with Tails, and of course Tails falls short of a complete install. I mean, Tails is really designed to protect your online privacy as best that it can, but it does not have all of the features that Kodachi has, of course. And so, yeah, I mean, they both have onion circuits and they both have onion share. Onion share, of course, is a way to drop files for somebody else to come and pick up. Random MAC ID, which is your MAC address or your machine ID for your, it would be your Ethernet card or your Ethernet connection. And then you can wipe the RAM. It offers a secure web browser, and in fact, Kodachi offers not just one, but several, whereas Tails only offers one. They also provide a VPN, and then of course you can add your own if you wish, or you can use one of the other ones that are predefined. But then, as always, I mean, a VPN is a trust from you to the VPN. There's also a wallet for your currencies, your cryptocurrencies. DNS crypt is also offered. There's also a number of other things that have been added in this DNS as well. There is also support for the Cloudflare malware, removal of DNS sites, and also for malware and adult sites. So, Ware has added quite a few features to this release. And then there's multi-Tor exit node changers with exclusion for 5 ICE countries, and I've talked about that in the past. There's also, multi-DNS options. Stacer is a performance analyzer and a tuner facility to allow you to provide a little bit better performance for your sessions. Rootkit Hunter and Nuke. Now Nuke is useful if you are installing this with a persistent store, and that the Nuke will completely obliterate anything that's on there. So if you have to enable it, you have to use Lux, and you have to have encryption turned on in order for you to be able to enable Nuke. But once it is enabled, it allows you to obliterate your Kodachi install completely, completely wipe it. There's also support for SyncThing, and that was included in the 6.2 release that I reviewed about 8 months ago. And then we talked about this. There's there's the USB guard and all that stuff. There's BleachBit, and Nautilus, and Keep OS. These are security packages that permit you, and fire jails and all that, and also firewalls. You also have a number of other systems here. These are just applications like Atom and Gurney and Crusader and Meld, Shutter, FileZilla, and all that. These are applications. Kodachi has a pretty good suite of applications, and one thing I don't know about, and I'm not going to be installing my pet applications today, because not without checking with Ware to see what kind of holes that will poke through his security layers, because anytime that you're opening a port, you're exposing something that maybe would be unintentional. So hey, I would not do that without checking, with the developer to see, hey, what's your opinion about installing this application? But yeah, he does provide quite a few things here as far as tools to help you try to figure out what's going on. So, and there's a number of encryption methods down here to encrypt files, as well as it does provide support for the old PGP. I think it's I2P. I2P? Is that right? I2P? Yeah, I2P, which is the old PGP method of securing, and then VeriCrypt, which was a spin-off of that project, of pretty good privacy as well. And then ZuluCrypt is kind of an interesting one that is, I've seen that being used more and more, but I have not used it myself. So can't really tell you much more about it other than maybe just cursory playing around with it a little bit. It looks very similar, and there's a lot of those kinds of tools that will do encryption. The question is how well they do encryption and at what level they do the encryption, right? So, and then there's the Panic Room, which has a number of unique tools in it, both for some of its displays and so forth. So, Yeah, he recommends that that you download this and run it with VM Player. VirtualBox he doesn't recommend that you use because, as I have told you in the past, and some of my viewers here have commented that they have gotten VirtualBox to run pretty well, but I haven't been successful using any set of configurations with it to get it to run well. So I'll be doing this on boxes today. I do have this on hardware. And I could show you that on hardware, but it's just going to be a USB launch today. I'm not actually, well, I guess I could install it just to show you what that would be like if you choose to go that route. Now, if you are going to use this on a USB, he has some tools that he recommends that you use. This universal USB installer right here, to allow you to create an area of persistence on the USB. And of course, you can then, if you want to, you can also install it on your hard drive as well, but that's not recommended. One of the things that I found is that, and we'll see this when I install it today, is that it does ask you for the password for Kodachi. And when you go to log in, it doesn't seem to matter if I choose, so I've had a couple of problems with it that I haven't seen before, and one of them was that if I go ahead and put the root login, if I change the Kodachi password, and then I boot into the system and allow Kodachi to automatically log in, there's an installer script that comes up that wipes out the password that I chose and installs this one. So if you encountered that, just remember that it's that password that is it's replacing the one that you chose during the install. So, yeah, I haven't ever gotten it to work other than using that password. But once, of course, you're in, then you can change the password to whatever you want, and it works fine after that. It's just that initial install feature will replace your password with that one. And then, of course, I would change the root password as well. And we talked about this last time. There's a number of security models and methods that you can choose to follow to do this, such as, here's for the best anonymity results, and then declining order. And then same here, if you're doing financial, if you're using this for banking or cryptocurrency, then this is the recommended way to doing it as well. So, yeah, I talked about that in the last video, so I don't think that really needs to have much more said about it. And then there's this section on persistence, which has to do with the persistent area for storage and whether or not you turn it on. So the most secured method, of course, is to use this as a USB key and then just, when you're done, shut it down. Done. It's gone, right? And you can do that. But, the problem, well, it's not really a problem, but you'll need to keep your updates current with what's released. I mean, of course, if you install updates on the USB, they're going to be probably obliterated because everything is in memory when you're running from a USB stick. So yeah, he has some recommendations there. This is the steps to actually install it. This is some information about installing it and then turning on and enabling the system nuke. And you do have to give it a password to do that. And of course, like I said, it needs LUKS and it needs encryption turned on. And then some questions. Where can I install Kodachi permanently? Well, yeah, under a VM, on a PC or whatever. So, and then there's just some general FAQs down here. There's his Discord is kind of where he's announcing any changes. He used to have a blog that he ran in here, and I think he's moved that over to Discord now. So if you want to keep up with what Ware is doing, I would recommend that you join his Discord site, which is right there, and use and access the information from there. He's pretty good about keeping that updated, it looks like to me. So yeah, so let's get started a little bit here. Kind of eager to dig in. So one other thing. Sphere. So this was in the last version of Kodachi as well, but I was going to talk about the Sphere browser. So what this does is it adds an additional layer of, allows you to change your identity online. That is, allows you to change a number of the fingerprints and tracing points that you might leave, even if you're in a Tor browser. And Sphere allows you to create a new identity, and then you can pick and choose the type of connection, and here's your time zone. You can fake that. You can fake your OS. You can fake your browser. You can pretty much fake just about anything you want within it. And then it will take you to a site that will basically grade how well you're doing and allow you to kind of see for yourself how well that you've set up your Sphere. Now, that does not happen under Tor, but this is something different. So I just thought I would add that. This is I want to play with this a little bit more. I had some issues with it, but they're probably mine. They're probably just my issues in trying to understand how to use it. So I'll probably go over this a little bit briefly today. I probably won't configure it right until I learn more about it. I'll probably keep making mistakes with it. But that's how you learn. You have to play with stuff until you understand it thoroughly. And this looks interesting. From the standpoint of being able to change your identity within the session that you're currently under. So I'm going to, I guess I'll leave this up for now. And I'm going to be using boxes again today. It's just like I did the last time, and we'll come in here. I could use this under a hardware install, but that would be, it's kind of pointless, as I said. So if you're just going to run this off the USB stick, what does it matter? All right, so I'm going to customize this. 4 gig is what I gave it initially. It does not have a huge footprint. Hello, boxes. You're supposed to let me customize. I guess it's frozen. Let me, yep. My problems with boxes continue. All right, so we'll try it again. Might have to wait for it to come down. Be right back. Okay, so we'll beat it with a stick, and I'll give it some memory here. Well, it's still not letting me, is it? All right, let's delete this. We'll start over. That should be in my list here, but I don't know if that's 7. I'm going to choose it again. 7.1 is what I want. And if it cooperates, I guess it's not going to cooperate. There it goes. All right. Boxes have been getting more and more flaky. If this doesn't work, we'll go under Proxmox to do this. Okay, so this is legacy BIOS mode, and if you were doing this under UEFI, you would see, of course, a different menu. I'm going to go ahead and do that. It'll take a second, and then it'll take off. So let me register my mouse, and hopefully it will go. It'll take a few minutes, well, a few seconds to boot up. So I'm just going to be patient and wait with you. I'm actually, I'll just show you some things that you can do with it off the USB stick. And of course, this is running off an ISO off of a hard drive, so it's going to be faster than a USB stick would be, which isn't saying a whole lot. It's not saying a whole lot. And eventually it will come up. There's a lot of pieces, parts that are coming up with this. Yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff that's going to fire off here. So here we go. We're starting to get the first thing. So we get the HUD, which I talked about that last time. And then a number of services are starting. You'll notice the DNS crypt started up. And then I'm not Torified yet, but I am running under a VPN, as you can see. I'm running off a local VPN, which is right here, PIA. So I could put this underneath here, but I thought, well, I was gonna. I don't want to expose my DNS. I mean, my IP address. So I would prefer not to. Anyway, so at this point it's usable, and I could start using it, or I could go ahead and install it. There's also an offline mode you can install as well. I haven't tried that. So let's go ahead and install this, and you'll watch, it'll shut down. It should start up. Okay. Installation will start shortly, and it'll start shutting down the VPN Tor DNS crypt. We'll just make sure that that's all down before it begins, and then it'll bring up a window here to start installing. I'm gonna wait for the screen to clear. Okay. And then it asks some information about my keyboard. You can, now sometimes this doesn't work, sometimes it does, but it appears to go ahead and do the updates anyway, even though it doesn't show it being clicked. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and encrypt this, and I'll put the LVM on here so that we can go through the steps to enable the nuke. And then, of course, I'll need to have an encryption password for the boot to unlock the drive. Oops. There we go. Yeah, you could overwrite any empty disk space. We'd be here for a while, so I'm not going to do that. I'll go ahead and do the install. It's going to ask me to confirm, and I'm not in New York, although I could say it was. What do I care? What thinks my time zone is. So it's going to go ahead and get started. I'm not going to sit here and let you guys watch paint dry. I'll come back when this is getting either close to being finished or almost finished. So it's about completed. It's been about, what, 4 minutes or so. Not a lot of time, 4 to 5 minutes. And it is installing the system now. It's going ahead and doing some updates. I noticed I didn't have to do a lot of updating after installing this. Now, you probably will if you view this video down the road a ways. Unless, of course, he comes out with a 7.2. I'm going to pause this for well, maybe not. It looks like it's about done. It's running the DPKGs. Now, I don't have a pass-through on my graphics card, but I would be interested to see how difficult that would be. I know that certain graphics cards will create exposures in your operating system, so this is probably a better way of doing it. Okay, so we're ready to restart it, so I'll go ahead and do that. And it actually shuts down, so I will go ahead and bring it back up. register my mouse. I like the graphics in this. This little welcome screen that's sitting here is really nice. Let's try that again. I think I got it right. Maybe not. Nope. Try it again. Okay. So now I'm just going to wait patiently and let it start up its services. And bring up the HUD. And it should start an installer, because it sees that Kodachi is logging in directly, and of course that's not very secure to do that. So yeah, there's the installer to finish up, and it will prevent Kodachi from automatically logging in, and it will also change the password back. So like I said before, you run into a situation where it's not taking your password, it's because it's defaulted back to what he has posted on his website. I had some comments in the last one, but I didn't have Kodachi installed any longer, so I did not have a chance to go back and check that. But this time I did, and I ran into that same issue. So I went back and I did an RTFM and found the solution. So okay, so now it's going to restart. Seems like Boxes always has a problem whenever OBS is up. I think it might be related. Yeah, it shouldn't be taking this long to come up. But I will figure this out, and I'll be right back. Okay, we'll try it again. Yeah, it's some interaction problem between OBS and Boxes, because if I'm running Boxes alone, I don't have this problem, but whenever OBS is up, it does. They probably have different libraries they're conflicting over. Wouldn't doubt it anyway. Okay, and this time it'll ask me to log in. And I'm using the default password to log in with. So before we do anything else, let's change the password on this thing. So that was interesting. Okay. Let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. And then we'll do a sudo password to change the root password too. Oops. Okay, so we can do just see if there's anything to update. I don't think there will be. I know there's one package in there, but it's a conflict. Yeah, that one's conflicted. Let's do a list. And I'll put in the -A to get as much. Yeah, it's an onion share. It's a conflict between two different, from the PPA and the normal, so it doesn't know which one to install. So, all right. So let's go ahead and close this. We're done with that. So the first thing we have is like always, we have a HUD, and it looks to me like there's a lot more information on here than I remember in the previous one. I mean, you had the typical things about, here's your status on what your CPU is doing, using about 630 meg of memory. Pretty light footprint, but this is XFCE. And then your disks and so forth. So, and then you have your privacy up here. It's telling you, some information about your machine, your gateway, your domain, what your ISP IP address is, and then whether or not you're Torified, and I am not Torified. And DNS encrypt is enabled, and it's on. But it is, I'm not sure which one it is using because these are masked. And then you have some information about the OS, and then it shows the model of the security model that you chose. And then as confirmation, now this relates back to his website. So if you want to know more about that, go check that out. Then how many files, how many threads, sort of and how many ports are open, how much traffic and all that stuff is going on here. So, and these are just dials on your CPU and so forth. So the first thing I probably will want to do here, let's go to Settings Manager. And first thing I want to do is get my display a little wider. And I'll do 1490, 1400 by 900. I'll apply that. Get this looking a little bit bigger. Now, one thing, I don't know, maybe it'll change it. Let's see. Looks like it's refreshing it. Yeah, it moved it over. Good. So if this is too small for you, let's start with this first. So I can make this a little bit bigger, but you have to be careful because you can drape it down off the screen. So you might be able to add, at least in my case, I could add maybe one more before it starts to go below the line, before the information falls off the screen. So yeah, we have that. So I have this is the menu bar for XFCE, and then down here you have this dash down here, or panel, in which you can add your applications and retrieve them from. So if this bothers you, you don't like that, and you want to get rid of it, you can just hide it like that. Simple. So I'll leave it hidden for now and clean up the desktop so it's a little cleaner. And then the other thing I want to do here is go back into Appearance and maybe change some of the settings on this. So this is fine. Not crazy about green. And then if I wanted to change the icons or any of that, I could do that as well. So that's all I wanted to do there, is put the gray icons in. And last, I guess the first thing to start doing here interesting. Every time I do it, I guess I better bring up my terminals manually. OBS is the same hotkey. Okay, so yeah, I know I could probably trigger it from inside the keyboard here, but all right. So let's just do this first. So we have a 5.4 kernel, which means this wouldn't run on a NUC 10, and it is ID like Debian. So he does have he has some pieces of Ubuntu and some pieces of Kodachi in here. Like I said, this is based on Ubuntu 1804, which you can see right there. So I know the HUD showed all this information already, but so it's, unless you want to see individual applications and what they're taking, then it just run the HUD. That's all you really need. So what do we got down here? What is all this stuff? So the first thing we have is we have a show desktop, and there are two different environments that you can switch to. And then this shows you your traffic and if there is VPN enabled and then the network is below it, there's CPU, there's memory, swap disk, so you can, and then these are your controls to shut the system down. But yeah, pretty nicely laid out, like this little panel here. But let's just go through it. So I have an application finder, which is kind of, a pop-up for the application spaces that you have. And of course, that works like anything else. You can leave that up, and then you can launch stuff from here or just close it. This has changed a lot since 6.2. There wasn't this many as there is now. So you have, this is a Firefox base, but it has been secured somewhat. And then, of course, you can launch with proxy chains, and you can edit with a proxy chains config. This is Sphere. I think I'll bring it up. I won't do this right, but I just want to show you the information that it brings up. This will take a while to come up. And while we're waiting for that, I'll bring up Firefox, which will probably come up a lot faster. Yep. And let's see, it's probably 76. Pretty recent. Of course, this is unsecured, right? If I use this one, I'm at the mercy of the internet. Let's see if Sphere is running. Should be. Nope, it's not. All right, maybe I have to double click it. Yep, now it is. Oh, saying I can only have one instance. So here we go. This probably will say bad things about that because I'm not Torified. But we'll see if it connects on its own. I don't see it reacting over here like it's trying to set one up. Yeah. So let me go ahead. Let me do the simple one. And this time it should bring up the Tor. Yeah, I'm checking the network. All right. And then it should reload it. There we go. Okay, so now I've got a password. The first, you'll need to remember this. It seems the network is down. So I might want to relaunch this now. Let me do that. That seems to be working. Yeah, so you need to be Torified first. And then it should pop up and ask me for my password. Okay, so all I do is create a new identity, and I'll give this one a real descriptive one. And I tried to do this with the Tor proxy, but I don't know what I'm doing enough yet to know this. So I'm going to turn that off, just use it as a temporary, disable images, and I'll do a save. And it should come up and give me connection to this. So this is giving me kind of the information set on what's going on with my identity that I have chosen. So it's saying that I am running Firefox 54 on Ubuntu, but this can change. I saw this earlier. It was showing that I was on a Mac OS. And then another time it was on Windows. It's kind of funny. And then you can, it's showing that I'm in Great Britain, and of course I'm not. I don't even have a British accent. So, and then you can get to some advanced tests with this. And I'll expand this open a little bit so you can see more of it. And it'll go through all of these things. It'll take some time, but it'll go through all these things and kind of give you an idea of where you're sitting security-wise. So that's all I have about Sphere at this point, because that's all I know about it. And then, of course, you have what we had last time, except he's added, you can now have your own VPN. You can now set up your own, as well as there's, the Kodachi VPN, Multibad, HideMe, Nord, Proton, and then VPN Gate. So yeah, pretty comprehensive there. And of course, I was in here earlier. You can enable Tor with a VPN, enable it without, encrypt all traffic in the DNS via Tor. Now that is defeating the DNS encryption. I don't think that runs in concurrence with it, but not sure about that. So have not tested this thoroughly. So and then Onion Share to share files with other Tor users. The status of my Onion circuits. Now, I had a problem with that earlier, that it wasn't showing anything. It should now. Yeah, it's still not connected. So I'm not sure why it's not showing me that, even though the HUD does. If I bring the HUD back up, this will take a little bit to start. This is showing that I am Torified, but it's Tor without VPN. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I just don't know enough about this yet. I know enough to be dangerous. Let's put it that way. Then they have some DNS tools, and you can run Tor DNS encrypted, use DNS crypt. Now, this is reliant. So you're going to be going to a site that supports DNS encryption. And you're putting your trust in that DNS lookup that those people will protect the identity, because they know where you're going. It's only encrypted between you and them. So it's sort of like a VPN. Tor DNS, however, is a little different, because that's encrypted through the Tor network, and then it pops out on the other side with your destination IP address already figured out. So there isn't anyone you have to trust other than the ones inside the Tor network. There's always a level of trust, right? I mean, no matter what you do. And then there's Multibad, Free DNS, Nord DNS, all these that you can choose, or you can pick, just customize one of your own. Now this one, oh wait, not that one, this one. These are the Cloudflare ones. So this would be the, I think it's 1.1.1.1 and 1.1.1.2. I think that's right. I'll go look. I'll go look that up. So let's go here. We'll go over to Cloudflare. Oh, they don't like it. Of course, this is Google. Google doesn't like it. Yeah, there's a lot of sites that are picking off Torified networks, so yeah, they don't like it. They're making me do a CAPTCHA. Guess what? I am not going to do that. So, yeah, I'll put a note below when I'm done with this today as to which one it is. But yeah, these allow you to eliminate malware sites that are known. There are other ways of doing that. And there are other ways of doing that too. But if you want to put your trust into Cloudflare, okay. Personally, I don't trust anybody but me. So, but anyway, that's just me. So then you have some applications here. There's Riot, which is like a chat room. Then you have Signals. You have Ware, Pigeon, which is an IM. You have Koi IM. You have VeraCrypt, ZuluCrypt, so now you're starting to get into some of the encryption features of the system. And then this is Sirkali, which is another one like those. KeyPass, and you have FireTools, the firewall, Stacer, which is the performance enhancer and monitor for your system. I tried this on Fedora, and it doesn't work. So apparently this is for Ubuntu. So, yeah. So let's see. Security services that you have, you can start a noisy crawler, you can start sync thing, you can SSH, you can also deny hosts, you can stop and start these different services, force traffic through the VPN or block all internet traffic if you want. Then you have the beginnings of your actual applications themselves. These are wallets for different cryptocurrencies. I noticed that these have been reduced. I think there's only 2 now in this one, whereas I think before there was 3 or 4. FileZilla, Remena, Thunar, which of course is the file manager over there. Oops, which of course is the file manager over there. Let me get back over here. The media players that you have choices for. There's a number of searching tools, shutter cameras, and simple screen recorder. Awful lot of good stuff in here. And then there's Terminator, LibOffice. I guess maybe we got to go check and see what version of this we're running. Yeah. Okay. 6.4. I can go to the release notes. Google's going to punish me again, so I'll maybe do that later. We'll just close this out and do an about. So it's 6442. Again, pretty recent. And there's a text editor down here. I don't see Adam. Maybe he's pulled that off. I mean, yeah, maybe he's pulled that off. And then over here you have your system updater and updates and package managers, your gparted, all the system utilities that you would need, Redshift, and if you have a projector, you want and luminosity, system monitor, and so forth. But this one, I talked about this last time. This is the panic room, and I was in here earlier to turn on and off this background display. This enables it. This disables it. This increases the size of the font and then decreases it. One of the things that you'll need to do, though, since I have this set up this way, is you will need to enable the nuke. And that's right here. So you can disable it or enable it. And I'm going to enable it. I'm going to go ahead and shut that down. And, okay, and it says that's the device it wants to do it with. And I think that is correct. Yeah, that's correct. It should come out and ask me for a password here in a bit. Now, I don't know if this is going to work or not. It failed the last time I did this. So I'm probably doing something wrong. Again, I mean, I'm not an expert with this yet. Hardly. There is so much in here. It is, like I said before, it is one of the most comprehensive security versions of Linux that I have seen. I mean, Cubes is great, don't get me wrong, but man, Cubes takes a while to wrap your head around. And then there's always the concern about if DOM0 gets if it becomes penetrated, then everything is lost. So there's always that concern with Cubes. Tails is a throwaway environment. This can be a throwaway environment. And there's just a lot more stuff here to help you with. Oh, I guess it's waiting on me. So I don't know if I'm doing this right, and I doubt it. I doubt I am. I'll put a message over in the Discord for Ware and see what he says that I should be doing here. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I am poking the bear with my finger. Don't know yet what it's going to do. So I'll be asked for a password to encrypt and restore your file header in case you want to disable the nuke in the future. Okay, so now I don't know if this is asking me for my encryption password. It's not clear to me. Has been encrypted and saved. Another copier has been encrypted and saved. Okay. Now you'll be asked for your normal Kodachi. Okay. So So now it's asking me for the unlock. Enter a new one. Yep. Okay. Okay. Got it. Let's see if we get this successfully done. It says it's completed. So, all right. So now my nuke is armed. Now it doesn't mean I've nuked it yet. It just means that I have the capability to nuke it and blow it away. So that's one of the advantages here. So glad I kind of went through that this time a little slower. Probably probably either, I mean, you know me on passwords. I have to enter them about 5 times before I get them right. So anyway, that's what that's about. And then you nuke that from the script. There's a script here to nuke the thing. I think somewhere, yeah, destroy the system. So at that point, yeah, you would be blowing it away. Of course, you could always erase it, but it won't be a secured erase. This one is a complete forensic erase. And then of course there's the security evaluation to tell you kind of how you're doing. I showed you this last time too. It's tattling on me because I have it installed and that's not the preferred. Yeah, give me a choice and I'll pick the wrong one every time. All right, so browser is off. Okay. 84. So I could probably do better. And of course, then there's a license here that you can read through. And then if you, and I hope you do, if you do use this, you should donate to this. There's I'm sure that Ware has a regular job that he probably goes to, but this is a labor of love for him. And if you enjoy using this, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, you should donate to him. And then of course, there's always, I didn't really show anything else here other than looking at some of maybe the desktop wallpapers. There's, yeah, the anonymous logo. Okay. Okay. I don't know if I'd want that looking back at me all day. Let's see. I thought I saw one that was headless. Where another headless one? There it is. Okay, that's better. I mean, just like before, I really like this system. I like the way it's laid out. I just think it's going to take, I mean, if it would be a pretty sizable investment in time to really go through this and understand all of its capabilities, and it's probably well worth the effort to do it. So maybe I'll do that and come back and then give you an update on it. So for today, that's really all I'm going to cover about it. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and yeah, I mean, he does have a Discord site, and if you want to know more about it, there's people that ask questions and answer questions out there all the time, and so yeah, it is a very helpful area to work with, to be in, to understand this better. And as always, hope to see you again real soon, and bye for now.